Welcome back, trainers, and since we do have the Halloween event right around the corner, I think it's a good time to go ahead and go over some of the best ghost type Pokemon that you currently want to be using. So I did make a video about Chandelure, the Power Up video. You may have seen that, in which I demonstrated how well it can perform and how good it is compared to other ghost type Pokemon. But I did emphasize quite a bit that you should just go with your Shadow Ball Gengars or your Giratina's origin form a few times. Now, take in mind, we also do have Darkrai that should be in the raids tomorrow. This is going to be very exciting, starting off the Halloween event. But as a pure ghost type attacker, Darkrai is going to be good with Shadow Ball, like we went over yesterday, but these ghost types are just simply going to be outperforming it. So taking a look at the Gengar here, this is going to be my highest and best CP. I do have a Gengar that is sitting at 40 DPS because it does have 15 attack and then 15 stamina and then 2 defense. That lower defense is going to enable you to get off those charge moves quicker, taking more damage. Now taking a look at their IVs here, the Gengar is going to be sitting at 14 attack, 15 defense, and then 12 stamina. And it is sitting at 39.7 DPS with Shadow Claw and Shadow Ball. That Shadow Claw is going to be a legacy. And then taking a look at Chandelure, unfortunately the attack is sitting at 11, and then we have 13 defense and 15 stamina. But nonetheless, with Hex and Shadow Ball, its DPS is still going to be at 38.3. So if it did have 15 in attack, it would be probably just a little bit more behind Gengar. I'd say it would be sitting at about 37 or maybe even 39 DPS. And then taking a look at the Giratina with 13 attack, 15 defense, and 13 stamina, Shadow Claw and Shadow Ball, it is sitting at 34.8 DPS. That's just going to be an all-round solid option. It's not going to be doing as much damage as Gengar and Chandelure, but it will be able to last in that battle significantly longer because it does have more HP as well as defense. So it is a pretty good investment for sure if you have one of those lucky, as well as the Giratinas are currently available. Well, they're going to be gone tomorrow, but depending upon how many you did, you should have a good amount of candies. Now, Chandelure, let's go back. I was saying you're better off just going with your Gengars, just going with your Giratina origin form. I didn't say completely that you shouldn't make any of these. I just said you shouldn't make multiple. So I kind of want to take that back. Now, not for the average person, but for the hardcore players, do you want multiple Chandelure? I'm going to say absolutely now, because after doing quite a few more tests, I'm quite actually impressed. You had to have the perfect circumstances, the lag in the raids, there has to be none. And you have to just have a good RNG pretty much. So what happened was I went up against the Alolan Raichu as well as a few different other raids and going up against the gym. And my tests have concluded that it is putting off a good amount of damage. That Hex charges that Shadow Ball fairly fast. Now, on the other hand, Gengar, my go-to ghost, one of my favorite Pokemon, as you guys know, is still going to be fantastic. But as you're going to see in these numbers coming up here, it just faints out a little bit quicker. It is going to be doing more damage, and if you've been confused about TDO, what is that all about? I get the DPS, that's damage per second, but the TDO, what is that all about? Well, you also probably already know, but if you're not completely clear on that, it's how long they're going to be able to last in that fight. Gengar cannot last as long as Chandelure, therefore Chandelure will stay in the fight longer, doing more damage. So if we take a look at these numbers here, courtesy of Gamepress, we see Gengar at the top with Lick and Shadow Ball, sitting at 18.1 DPS with a TDO of 350. And then we have a Shadow Claw Gengar, the one I did personally use, with Shadow Ball as well, sitting at 18.0 with a TDO of 448. Then if we look at Chandelure with Hex and Shadow Ball, it's going to be sitting at a DPS of 17.5 with a TDO of 407. Now, something to keep in mind if you do have multiple Lick, Shadow Ball, or Shadow Claw, Shadow Ball Gengars, inevitably, you're going to be doing more damage if you do, say, have a full team of those and doing it a lot quicker. With Chandelure, it's going to take less of them, but you're not going to be able to defeat it as quickly. It's right behind it. As you can see, the DPS is not too far, but if you do have multiple Gengars, they will be pulling up number one with the fastest time and doing the most damage in the shortest amount of time. Then if we look at the Giratina origin form, it is a little bit lower than them with Shadow Claw, Shadow Ball sitting at 15.8. So like we went over, it's going to be solid because look at that TDO, 662. And that's why it is a little bit more tanky than them. Now taking a look at the fire types fairly quick here. We don't really need to go over this too much. Regarding Chandelure, it is currently one of the best fire type attackers. Blaziken is going to slightly be outperforming it barely there, sitting at 17.2. Then Chandelure with 17.1. The TDO for Blaziken is going to be a little bit better, so the Chandelure will be fading out, but that is so minuscule, you don't really need to worry about it. That's like maybe 2 quick moves. Really depends on the Pokemon. Now, go ahead and take a look at Darkrai like we did yesterday, so you have a good understanding. Like, well, Darkrai comes out tomorrow, and now you're telling me to power up a Chandelure or even make multiple of them. Why should I do that? Well, if you're, like I said, a hardcore player and you got the resources to invest, then maybe go ahead and do so. But don't be too quick to use your Unova Stone. Personally, for me, when I do get the Colossal Pass, I will be possibly making another Chandelure. But anyways, looking at the Darkrai here with Snarl and Shadow Ball, compared to Chandelure with Hex and Shadow Ball, because everything that's weak to Dark is weak to Ghost, right? So you can basically count those as a mix. So if you're going up against a Gengar, the Shadow Ball and Snarl Darkrai is going to be sitting at 17.2, while the Chandelure is going to be at 17.5. So it's going to be a little bit better than the Darkrai with Shadow Ball. But on the other hand, the Darkrai will be resisting the Ghost moves, therefore making it possibly a better Pokemon to go up against whatever raid you're trying to do there. But that does not take away that Chandelure does have a little bit better DPS. Also, the TDO for Darkrai is better than Chandelure. So inevitably, Darkrai just may take over the Ghost spot. Gengars are still always going to be number 1 with Shadow Claw and Shadow Ball. If you do have multiple of those. Alright, so here is the kicker. We do have Mewtwo, of course, with Confusion and Shadow Ball, with a higher DPS than Darkrai, as well as Chandelure. And then you have it with Psycho Cut and Shadow Ball. So Mewtwo is currently in the EX raids, so make sure you get one of those if you do not have one. If you do have one of those old legacies with good IVs, you may want to think about powering it up, because it is actually fantastic as a Shadow Ball user. But remember, Darkrai with that Dark typing is going to help it so much more, resisting possibly those Ghost types you're going up against, or any other sort of Dark move. Otherwise, Mewtwo will be taking super effective damage. So take note of that. There is Mewtwo. I did not want to leave that out, of course, because it is obviously fantastic. And I did kind of focus a little bit on Darkrai because it's coming out tomorrow. Mewtwo, we've known it's so good with Shadow Ball for some time already. Alright, now let's get into the meat and potatoes of this whole thing here and go up against an Alolan Raichu with Spark and Grass Knot. So the Chandelure will be resisting Grass Knot as well as Gengar, because Gengar is going to be poison, Chandelure is going to be part fire. So it is going to be a pretty nice test, seeing that they won't take much damage when I do dodge, therefore they'll be able to last as long as they possibly can. Alright, so they're off. Let's see what we can do here. I'm not going to be including Giratina because the DPS is significantly behind, although I'm sure you would have liked to see that. I'm sorry, I'll probably try to do that in the future here. Anyways, the Hex is going to be getting to the Shadow Ball a whole lot quicker, while the Shadow Claw on Gengar is going to be doing a ton of damage, but taking a little bit longer to get to that Shadow Ball here. And something else to take into consideration is RNG. The way the raid boss is going to be using the charge moves. I mean, it could spam me, it could hold on to him for a whole lot longer, therefore making this not completely accurate and telling you how long each of these Pokemon can significantly last, outperforming one another. But for the most part, it seemed pretty on point. I did dodge a Grass Knot towards the end with the Chandelure, just so I can get off another Shadow Ball. But the moral of the story here is I want you to see who gets to the yellow first. So neither one of these is having to do much more dodging than the other, so it's pretty even. And there goes the Gengar getting it into the yellow, and Chandelure still trying to get it there, hits that Shadow Ball and finally gets that Alolan Raichu into the yellow there. But Gengar is significantly ahead, but as you can see, it's going to be fading out at 101, but taking it down pretty low, while Chandelure is still going well past 101. And it is just about to faint out, and this is where I do dodge one more Grass Knot, and I was able to get off that Shadow Ball there. Alright, so as you can see, Chandelure lasting longer, but it's not going to be able to do as much damage. But as you can see, it was able to take it well past the Psychic type symbol. So as we can clearly see, the Gengar is outpacing it as far as damage, but the Chandelure able to last a little bit longer and bring it down past the point where Gengar had to actually faint out. But in reality, you would probably go in there with multiple Shadow Claw Gengars if you did have those, therefore taking it out a whole lot quicker. Yes, fading more Gengars, but beating it a lot faster, while the Chandelure is going to just be slightly behind, but take less of those to actually take it out. So I hope you learned a little bit of something for this, and yes, Chandelure is actually fantastic, as well as those other ghost types at the top. Alright trainers, so when it all boils down to it, Darkrai is simply going to be one of your better options because of the survivability. Not only better TDO, but it is going to have a resistance to Ghost, and whenever you're using Ghost type moves, it's more than likely coming out of a Ghost type Pokemon or something weak to Ghosts like Psychic. Therefore, Darkrai will be able to resist it. And since Shadow Ball is so good, and Darkrai's attack is so decent, it makes for a fantastic combination. So, pretty much Darkrai. Oh gosh, I can't wait. It's going to be awesome. Anyways, if you enjoyed this video, please give it a big thumbs up. Share it with your friends if you found it useful. And I'm going to leave you with this clip of me going up against it with a Hydreigon. I wanted to kind of do a side-by-side test as well with the Hydreigon, just show you the performance. But I did get hit by a Shadow hit. After that, I became extremely frustrated, and I just started letting hits go through. The grass knots just letting me hit them, and I'm doing horrible dodging. And when I do go in with the Chandelure and Gengar, I don't dodge whatsoever. I just see how much damage they can do just by straight attacking and taking those charge moves. Now, thank you for watching, trainers, and I'll be catching you all next time. Take care.